Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. The 2022 season is upon us. Ravens football Sunday in New York against the Jets. And I'm here with my esteemed panel. Got a couple of buddies with me here to make some predictions, talk about who's going to lead and what do the Ravens have to do, put some numbers on it. And here to join me, you know him from my Wednesday night live shows. Garnet carries the show. It is Sergeant Garnet West. Garnet, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself, man?
Doing great. So you're not going to be Debbie Downer on this one, are you? You're gonna what's the strategy here?
I mean, so here's the thing. The last time I was going to be how positive I wanted to be like last time with the Miami game, we crapped the bed. So I'm going to see if I can balance it out with this whole Jets thing. And hopefully the results should, end up to where we are. Because I want you to wear your sunglasses like last time with the Miami, but yeah.
So I made a mistake as I introduced our next guest. I wore sunglasses before the Miami game, and that was the official downturn of the season. So blame it on me. I have a strategy for shaving this year to try to get some luck, some juju out of it. So with that, that's how I'm going to introduce our next guest. Brand new pod, Kicking Butt. And Garnet, get this. She actually invited me on the pod, her and Bobby Trossett. It's Miss Sarah Ellison. Sarah, how are you doing? What's going on with the pod? You having fun with it?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Jason, it's good to talk with you again. Garnet, hey, man, as we said before the show, I know I've interacted with you a ton on Twitter, so this is great to talk to you, camera to camera. So, but yeah, the pod's going well. We've only been up for a month or so now, and we're just overwhelmed by the success and the support that we've had from Ravens flock. Everybody's been phenomenal. And, it's just been fun to give out as much Ravens information as we can. It was great having you on. We had you on for the prediction show. And I think we both hit 50 out of 53. Is that what it was?
It was something like that. I was really proud, but sad at the same time, because I've predicted that Ben Powers would be traded, that the Ravens wouldn't keep 3 guards. And then it almost came true because they released Tyree Phillips, which I didn't see coming because they had the poor man playing tackle again. I figured he was in the mix over there. But yeah, we did well. And Sarah, this is your second straight year on the prediction show. So you're really putting in some work for me.
Well, what's funny is I went back and I went to look up the predictions from last year to see if I was anywhere in the ballpark. And none of us were, because there was no predictions to make after all the injuries. So, I mean, it was like Dobbins was out, Gus was out, Lamar was out, Humphrey was out. And it was just like, there was nothing. There was it took out the entire show. So hopefully this year there's actually, healthy players, and then we can actually go back and keep ourselves accountable. But all of this is predicated on good health, obviously.
Yeah, Garnet, last year, I think a few days after we did the predictions, there was that infamous practice with Marcus and Gus and all that. So it just became a mess. But we still met at midseason and kind of regrouped and everything. So that was great. Okay, so let's get into it now. Every team's success starts and ends with the quarterback. At least that's a huge part of it. Most important position in sports, I would say, by far. Quarterback of your NFL team, and the Ravens have a good one in Lamar Jackson. So before we get into his predictions, I just want to hear your thoughts on where Lamar stands at this point in his career, and what do you expect of him in general before we put hard numbers on it.
So where I stand with Lamar, man, I think this is the evolving year, I guess the final form of Lamar I'm hoping to see, especially in this Greg Roman offense where we had Greg Roman literally from 2019 to present, which is crazy to have a coordinator that long with the quarterback. So I think we see more command from him, more, I'll say self-awareness, of like hopefully the play clock not being at like 5 seconds when we get to the line or those things, those instances. So I think Lamar's gonna have a lot of say so in this year, and I think we'll see a lot of great things just fundamental wise, just being more, conscious of technique of just driving the ball in and all these things. So yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a very tremendous year for this man.
I suppose that's me up next, as you told us beforehand. So I'll say this. I think some people are sleeping on Lamar. I think a lot of people are calling it a down year last year because of the injuries. So that's why, when somebody's hurt, they're out of sight, out of mind. So they're sleeping on him. But I think a revenge tour is coming. I think all this offseason talk about just the dumbness of the OTA participation, talk about his weight, talk about stupid holdout mumbo jumbo, which we all know Lamar was never going to hold out. All that's going to melt away when the season starts, because it's my expectation that Lamar Jackson will once again be easily in the MVP conversation. You can go ahead, put him up there with the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Russell Wilsons, Josh Allens, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. All those guys, they deserve our respect, and they have it. But put a healthy Lamar up against them. He can compete with them, and he can beat them. And he has shown that. I mean, time and time again, when Lamar is healthy, he helps take the Ravens to the postseason. When he has a good offensive line, he's an MVP. When he loses all of his running backs and the Ravens decide to change their offense and become the 7th most pass-happy offense in the league, he takes the team and puts them at number 1 AFC seed in December. Okay, so there's no reason that a healthy Lamar Jackson with a healthy offensive line, which we're looking okay, cross your fingers with Ronnie Stanley so far. He's got weapons with Mark Andrews. Expect a big step up with Likely and Bateman. So he's going to be in that MVP hunt as long as he's healthy, and I can't wait to see it.
Sarah, something you said last year at the mid-season show that we did, the bye-week special, stuck with me. At that point, you were talking about what kind of year Lamar was having. But you pointed out that his completion percentage was up from the year before. 2020, he had a good year. And yet he was leading the league in air yards, and how rare that was. And that stuck with me. Like, I remember you saying that, and I'm like, wow, you know what? Sarah's right. That's tough to lead the league in air yards and to complete a higher percentage of passes. And I also want to go back to what Garnet said about the evolution of quarterbacks. I think it's easy for us. Like, Lamar's been around for long enough now where you say, okay, he's a veteran, especially the way the shelf life are for NFL players. Lamar's been in the league for a while. He's a leader. He's one of the faces of the league. But it takes so long to progress as a quarterback. You get better every single year from a mental standpoint. So I like what Garnet said about taking more control of the offense. I like what Garnet said about, getting to the line quicker, because I do think that's a team effort between the coordinator and Lamar and getting everybody to the line faster. But more than that, just seeing the game better, seeing the field more clearly. And, I mean, he looks in great shape. Everybody's talking about how the ball's jumping off his hand. I think Lamar definitely in a contract-type year situation, definitely, I mean, usually that brings out the best of you. The fact that he was written off and, down year and blame here and blame there, and fans question him and question whether he's worth the money, all that are motivators for a man that doesn't need much motivation. So I'm looking for a big year from Lamar too, especially like if Sarah said, the offensive line's good. You put a player like Lamar Jackson or any of those quarterbacks Sarah talked about and give them protection, it's going to be a good offense, very good offense. And then it's just up to the quarterback to how great to make it and the weapons. So, Garnet, let's put some numbers on this bad boy, shall we? So, how many passing yards, how many rushing yards, and how many total touchdowns for Mr. Lamar Demetrius Jackson?
So for that, are we just doing week 1, or are we just talking about just the whole spectrum, correct?
Bro, we're talking about the season predictions. How are we going to do?
Hey, I'm sorry, okay, my bad, my Jesus. Hey, I just want to make sure, because I don't want to give you the totality of everything, and then we're talking about week 1, bro. Okay, so week 1 it is.
That's my brother, Sarah. Sorry, we yell at each other like that. So
this
all normal, everything's cool.
Hey, I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring the comedic side out of it, Anyway, but so for the season over, right? I see about 350 plus total for the whole picture. And I'm breaking down with the passing yards, probably about 285 passing, 3 touchdowns in there, about 65 or 60 plus yards rushing, and probably one ground touchdown. So basically, the whole kit and caboodle right there in my spectrum. So I think he's gonna just ball out. It's gonna be like a Miami type of ordeal, but it's not. I would say more like the time where we played 2020. Was it 2020 season where we came out? We played the Browns. So it was 3-36. It was just a well-balanced game by Lamar completely, and I think it's going to be one of those pitchers.
So how about for the season, Garnet? Give me his passing yards. Give me his total rushing yards.
Okay, so for the season, I would say at least about 3,900 yards passing. Touchdowns, I'm literally floating between 36, where you had the last time, 36 to maybe 38 touchdowns, about 38 touchdowns. And then the completion percentage, I want to say around about 67%.
What do you give him on the ground, sir? Is he going to break 1,000 again?
No, I'd say about 800. I don't think
Okay.
he's 1,000. Yeah. Let's say about like 6 or 7 touchdowns on the ground rushing. Somewhere
All right, Sarah. So Garnet, normally we pick up after each other, but I have to say, Sarah, Garnet threw in some bonus coverage there. So you better bring it. You want to throw in some bonus numbers down there, Sarah? Go for it.
I'm gonna make it clear and concise. I've got Lamar very close to what Garnet said on the pass yards. I've got 38.75, so just 25 less than what Garnet said. And that's going to be an uptick in the pass yards. And so this is going to sound like, too much, but I couldn't find a way to get him below 1,100 rush yards in 17 games. I just figure with this still being the bread and butter, getting Dobbins back, obviously he's going to be on a pitch count moving up, but scrambles, all that kind of stuff. I have him at 1,100, so I have him at 49.75 total, just under 5,000 with 45 touchdowns. I gave him 2 more than his MVP year, because if I'm going to open the show up saying that he's got an improved offensive line, he's going to be in the MVP conversation, he's got to have MVP numbers.
Yes, well, breaking 1,000 yards rushing, although there's really not much difference between like 975 and 1,000, but that would have to stick. That would have to stick out again if he got close to his old record and became the first person to do it 3 times. And then, like you said, Sarah, the team's record has a lot to do with that too. If Lamar's putting up those numbers with the defense that the Ravens have on paper before the season, I mean, obviously they're going to be one of the teams to beat in the AFC. So my numbers, I think, are more like Sarah. I got to be honest, Garnet lost me a little bit there, but I have 3750 for his passing numbers. I have him at 1,050 for his rushing, and I have him for 33 total touchdowns. Now, Garnet, last year I was with you on the rushing yardage. I took the under. I was thinking, look, they're going to run him less and this and that and the other thing. We got JK, we got Gus. At the time, I think we didn't have JK was already out. So I'm thinking, man, we're just going to run some backs up in there. But yeah, I expect Lamar to have a great statistical season. Again, the 2 things I want to see him improve upon, well, it's really only one thing, and that's early in games. I want to see him settle in quicker. It's hard to give praise and criticism of Lamar because he's so polarizing to some fans. But, I'm one of his biggest supporters. I'm up there. All of us really are. I just want to see him avoid pressing early in games, putting too much pressure on himself. Like that game in Pittsburgh last year where he threw the interception in the end zone and double coverage. It's like, man, we're going okay. We're doing okay. Just settle in. And I think some of that has to do with Greg Roman too. Give him some easy, give him some layups early and some nice little slant passes and quick passes. But Lamar as a quarterback, 3750, 1,050, 33 touchdowns total. That would put him in the MVP conversation. So great year for Lamar in all of our eyes. And if he does that, the Ravens are going to be in great shape. So Garnet, next section, buddy. It's called Pick a Player. Pick a player. Now, I'm going to give who's going to lead the Ravens in what, and all of us are going to give our who's going to do it and how many are they going to have on the season. So the first category we have is rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Garnet, who's going to lead the Ravens in rushing yards? Who's going to lead them in rushing touchdowns? And how many, sir?
Man, so this is a really difficult question that I had to literally sit there and think about, because literally with the whole running back situation, with literally a revolving door for any of these guys, I just the last minute, addition to Kenyon Drake, I'm more influenced by him than Mike Davis because I think Mike Davis is gonna be the goal line red zone guy more than anything. So Kenyon Drake, this is gonna be the guy I pick for the back. I pick around about at least about 630 yards around there. He's gonna get, and then you said touchdowns, correct, sir?
Yes.
Touchdowns. I give him a whopping 7 touchdowns. Rushing
So
touchdowns.
Kenyon Drake for both, right? Yards and touchdowns. Why so low? You think JK's they're going to ease him back in, and I guess Lamar wouldn't be your leading rusher at that point then.
I guess in a way, but no. The reason why I somewhat go away from JK, I really don't want. I don't want them to rush him back, and I'm just hoping. I think they're going to just with all these backs that we have on the roster. I think it's pretty obvious that they don't want to put a heavy load onto him until like maybe week 11 or week 12 down the season when he finally gets his legs, and I just don't see him rushing them back. You got too many horses back there to to give opportunities. So that's why I'm choosing Kenyon Drake, and also because of the explosive aspect. We really don't have, other than Justice Hill, I don't really trust anybody right now to break along except between Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake as we speak.
All right. Well, for similar reasons, I have Lamar Jackson as the leading rusher. I already set up above that I have him at 1,100 rush yards because it's going to be a running back by committee, especially early in the year. I just don't see anybody, on the roster getting to that point. I'm not even sure I see anybody get to 1,000. That said, I still have Dobbins as the touchdown leader. I may have more hope in Dobbins than I guess some others do. I definitely see him on a pitch count early. And, we have very little information on what he looks like. We see some videos sometimes of individual workouts. We've seen the same with Marcus Peters and with now Ronnie Stanley from Monday. And so, Ronnie and Peters in their videos look good. And then sometimes with Dobbins, you'd say, he doesn't look 100%. But I think he's hungry. I think Dobbins is very hungry. I think he's going to, push to be in there. So I could still see him that rookie year. He had plenty of touchdowns, even though he didn't get, the most touches or the most yards. So I could still see him being a threat both through the air and running around the red zone. So I have him leading, and I gave him the same touchdowns he had his rookie year with, an extra game in 17. So I have him at 9.
Sarah, man, we're matching. I got the Dobbins 9.
Do you? Wow.
Right here on the paper. You can't see it, but it's a Dobbins 9 right there. Yeah, they love JK around the red zone. They really did. I thought Gus would take some of that, but if you look at his ending stretch in 2020, he had a touchdown darn near every game for the last 10 games. So even though he's coming back on the knee, I think they like him on some of those slashing type runs near the goal line, his vision and the ability to finish. I do think Mike Davis or Drake's a short yardage back too, could take some of that. My rushing leader is going to have to stay with Lamar though. 1,050 yards sounds about right. And then I'm going to throw in a bonus here. J.K. Dobbins, I'm going to say 850 yards if I had to make another prediction. I think that sounds about right. Like you guys said, if we're ahead and we're winning a game, there's no reason to run J.K. in there. So I see J.K. getting his early touchdowns. If he was fully healthy, I'd have him well into double digits, maybe 12, 13. But I'll give him 9 touchdowns. Lamar leading the way with 1,050 rushing yards. So pick a player, Garnet. Receiving yards this time. So who do you have for our receiving yard leader? And who do you have for our touchdown leader there, Garnet?
I think this is a real no-brainer with Tifton County's finest, Rashad Bateman. I think he'll break over 1,100 yards. About 1,100. I'm going to say about 1,110, somewhere around there in that category. And I say 11 touchdowns from Rashad Bateman. This is his year to show the world.
I would love that. And I actually don't think that I'm far off with where I think Rashad will end. I definitely see him around that 1,000 mark. I just think he'll have the volume. I think he's dependable. I think he'll go up and make plays for Lamar. But it was hard for me to put him above Mark Andrews at this point. So I'm keeping Mark Andrews as the leader at 1,100. I would put Bateman closer to 1,000. And then I also had to keep Mark Andrews as the top touchdown receiving touchdown getter, just because Lamar seems his eyes is like are magnet to Mark Andrews. And when things are crazy in that red zone and things are flying around, I just see him throw it to Mark, even if Mark has, 2, 3 people in the area, and Mark will still go up and get it. So I do think there's going to be a big jump in the touchdown arena for Bateman, but I couldn't give it above Mark. I do have Mark doing less than last year. Mark had 1,361 receiving yards. I'm putting him at 11 now, and he had 9 touchdowns. I think Bateman and Likely will eat into that, and maybe a few others. So I have Mark as leading the way with 7 receiving touchdowns.
Okay, so Garnet, did you give a touchdown number?
I did. I said 11. Clean the ears, bro. Come on, man.
All right. Well, hey, I'll just edit that out maybe. So no, I won't. I'll leave it. Made a mistake. Hey, I'm going to up the game on Rashad Bateman. I'm going last year. So originally I had 1107. Yeah, I'll put the 7 on there because he switched his numbers. But you know what? I'm going to give him 1177. Just a one-up Garnet over there. I can't let him get away with that. I think he takes Hollywood's targets and just whoop, goes up. These throws to Bateman do not have to be perfect. He's got catch radius. He can run a variety of different routes. And I just believe in him. I believe if you give him even 90%, 80% of the targets that Hollywood get, give him 120 targets. He's going to catch 80 of those, probably 75 of those, and his yards per catch are going to be through the roof. So give me 1177 for Mr. Bateman. Touchdowns, I'm holding strong with Mark Andrews. I put him in a dirty dozen. So, that'd be a really good year. But Sarah's right. It's like, I remember last year we kept talking about, in the red zone, the Ravens like to run the ball, and the Raven, Hollywood leads the Ravens in touchdowns, but it's like, it doesn't matter how many people you put on Mark Andrews. Lamar, like you said, Sarah, has that like tunnel vision on him.
Laser.
And and Mark is the same thing. Like Mark sees Lamar, scoots over a little bit. Lamar sees that Mark's scooting over a little bit. Lamar leads him, touchdown, unstoppable. The end of that Indianapolis game last year was something else, where they just knew it was going to Mark Andrews, and there was nothing they could do about it. So I think in some of the bigger games, Mark Andrews going to pad his stats in the end zone. But I wanted to give Rashad a shout out because I really feel like this is going to be his year when it comes to yardage. He's got some yak ability that we haven't had in number 1 receiver. So I really just like Rashad's whole game. I like his mentality. I like his role on the team, everything. So, yes, 1177 for Bateman, but 12 touchdowns for Mark. So here's a good one, Garnet. Now, we were all over the map on this one last year. Sacks. Who's going to lead the team in sacks and how many? I have a feeling we might be a little more similar this year than we were last year.
So I know the fan favorite of Daffy always should have this explosive year with double digits. I'm going to slap the table on that, but not so fast. I'm going to say Justin Houston is going to be the team leading in sacks with I would say 12. That's what I feel. I just like going off from what he did last year. He might not have been able to get the sacks, but I think he was the leading when it came to pass, win ratio of pass rush. And this time we have the meat in the middle that can actually push the pocket. So it's right there for him. It's an alley-oop. So I'm saying 12 for him. Plus he got a bet with his son. So
yeah. Holy moly, that would be a great year at 33 years old. I stuck with Odafe Owe. I've got him at 10, doubling what he did last year. If either Houston or Owe can get to double digits, first time since 2017. That's crazy that it's been 5 years, by the way. That's bananas. It's about time the Ravens have a stud again as a pass rusher. let's all cross our fingers that Odafe is going to be that man. But everything that we're hearing, everything that we're seeing about Odafe Owe going into his second year is what you want to hear. It's what you want to see. The drive, the athleticism, the work, it's all going in. And hey, listen, McDonald last year had 2 double-digit sack artists last year for Michigan. So you know these guys are going to get the snaps, especially early in the season. So let's hope they don't get tired out before Bowser and Ojabo and other people come to help share the load. But yeah, I've got Odafe at 10.
We have to watch wearing out Odafe Owe. We really do, because he just stands out because he's good again. He's a good pass rusher already, but he was really good against the run last year as a rookie. I love Garnett's pick of Justin Houston, by the way. He's absolutely correct in the pass rush win rate. And if you go back and you look at the highlights from Justin Houston, if you just pause this, open a new window, look at his season highlights on the channel. It was just missing. I mean, the man was getting quick pressure in another system. He could have easily had 8 in Wink's system. In another system, Mike McDonald, I could see him getting to double digits. I could see both of them getting to double digits. I went a little conservative. I went with Odafe Owe with 9. So now I'm feeling like the party pooper over here, but I feel like 9's a good number. And I think one thing that works in the pass rusher's favor, I would love it, Sarah, if we got back to this, like, just letting the players get after the quarterback. Let's not have them do all this other stuff. Let's let them rush and show off. And you're going to pick a stud in the first round. You have a Hall of Famer in Justin Houston. Let them do what they do best, and that's get after the quarterback and be disciplined setting the edge. So I expect Mike McDonald to use this team to its strengths. I see a lot of depth in the defensive line. I only see one Tyus Bowser, a dropping linebacker. Dalen Hayes is no longer with the team. So add it all up, just all the personnel moves. I think Mike McDonald allows the Ravens to get after the passer, and I could see like the overall sacks. Give me. Let's go around on this. Overall sacks, I don't have the number from last season, but I feel like that the Ravens could be a top 10 team in sacks and have a nice uptick. Travis Jones 4 or 5, Matabike 4 or 5, Michael Pierce if you throw in 3, whoever else we have. Jabo gets a handful down the stretch. Garnett, am I off on that, or you think we're going to still struggle and play a lot of games?
You are absolutely like Steph Curry from beyond the arc, hot right now, my guy. Yeah, right there. You're in there. So no, because I really think the whole gamut, it's going to be at least about 37 sacks or 38, around those numbers of sacks. And I think the majority, other than, it's going to, I think we're going to rely on our 3 techs to really get home in a lot of these sacks, to be honest with you, due to just the whole, having everybody come back late towards the roster. But I think Travis Jones is going to win those one-on-ones. I know, Calais Campbell, he's, up there in age, but the man can still ball out at a high level. And then you got Matabike. This is, in my opinion, a make or break year for him. Because, I think he's a good player, but it's one of the things where I want to see it. Like, this is the year to do it. Obviously, if you want, further on your playing career with a higher, salary and get paid. I think we have all the depth pieces with Michael Pierce as well. Michael Pierce, in the 8-game span before he missed the rest of the season with Minnesota, he had over 3 sacks. So I feel like it's going to be glorious like this year for the guys in the middle to eat up.
Well, I was just looking up the numbers while we were talking here. So Steelers led the league last year with 55 sacks. Ravens were in the bottom 10 with 34. To be in the top 10 last year, Ravens would have needed 43. So can they go to 34 to 43? Listen, I'm nervous about this outside linebacker room. I don't know what to expect. It's hard for me to both look at the room and say you have 2 healthy outside linebackers. Obviously, I agree with what you all are saying about pressure up the middle. I think they have more of that than they did last year for sure. Travis Jones, Michael Pierce, both an improvement there, and then Calais comes back. But 2 healthy guys. Bowser, I guess, might come back in week 5, but you got to give him some time to get there. It's hard for me to say this will be a top 10 sack team. And if they do, it's because Mike McDonald's a genius. Otherwise, I mean, this room is just so thin. I'm still pretty nervous about it.
It's pretty crazy because the Ravens gave up 57 sacks, Sarah. So look, they gave up, like, if the Ravens' opponents were a team, they would have been the league leaders last year, which just goes to show you how important an
Yep.
offensive line is. So, yes, I would like to see them get up around that 45 mark. I think if they go from 34 to 45, that would be a great year. So, Sarah, it's that time again. Is it too high, too low, or right on, bro? Now, I got some highlights last year. I got Sarah to say right on, bro. It was really cool. Got Jameel to say right on, bro. My goal is to get some right on, bro. So what I'm going to do is give a number and a number range. And my esteemed panel will tell me if that number is too high, too low, or right on, bro. All right, Garnet, you ready? First one,
Absolutely.
Isaiah Likely, the highly touted rookie. I figured this would be a fun guy to talk about. He will have between 500 and 600 yards this year, sir.
Right on, bro. It's that simple. It was right on. Like, he's gonna be that guy. Like, other than Demarcus Robinson, he's in competition between Demarcus Robinson and Likely to be that third option and making everything all that count. And he's gonna have those mismatched one-on-ones. I really do see him just being that H-back role where he's just everywhere on the field. He's gonna just basically abuse whoever's in front of him, and right on, bro. He will be in there.
500 to 600, huh? And I got it right. All right, Sarah, give it to me straight now. Am I too high on the rookie, too low? What's going on?
Too high, bro. Too high. I'm putting bro on all of these.
Yes.
Yeah. I have too high because I agree with Garnet. I think he's going to have the third amount of receiving targets. I try to go back and I looked at the 2019 season because the way the personnel is looking right now, it seems like the Ravens are trying to, in a way, recreate 2019, but hopefully have more of those big plays outside and can do more when the run game is shut down. So I looked back and I put him in that Hayden Hurst role that second year. And Hayden Hurst had like 326. I think I should have written it down, but it was around there. I thought Likely could do more than that. And I think with an extra game, he can. So I have him closer to the 450 to 500 mark. So maybe we're meeting in the middle at the 500, but I just felt like doubling what Hayden Hurst did, getting closer to that 600 was a little too much. But I'm excited to see him, and I'd love to be wrong here.
Me too. I'm really excited to see him. And, I think he'll be competing per se with James Prochet, actually. That's where I see it. I think DeMarcus Robinson, Duvernay, that they'll work themselves out on the outside, and maybe Bateman gets moved in the slot. But you got your big slot and Likely a receiver. He's not going to be blocking on the end of the line a lot. And you have your smaller, quicker guy, Prochet. So what does the other team have? What are their strengths and weaknesses? But yes, 500 to 600 yards for Likely would be a great rookie year for a tight end who's not even the starter. I mean, that number may not sound big at home, but that's really coming up with some key plays consistently throughout the season. So, okay. So Sarah leveled us off a little bit down there. I love it. Next person to talk about, Garnet, is one of my favorite Ravens, the Black Air Force One energy, as you refer to, sir. And that is the juice man, Mr. Marcus Peters. Now, Marcus has played 6 years healthy, and he has 31 interceptions in 6 healthy years. So that is about 5 interceptions per season, which is pretty insane. So I'm going to say, Garnet, Marcus Peters will have 5 interceptions this year.
Can I just say hi, bro? No, I
Too
don't
high,
want to
bro.
say. I don't want to say too high, bro. But it's like just one off. I don't think he's gonna. I think he'll get 4. I'm at 4. Yeah. So you're not too high, bro, but you're like high, bro.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
But you're not high, though. You know what I mean?
No.
All right.
By the way, this is tea. This is usually peach tea, okay, for all the kids at home. Drink your peach tea and recycle your cups, okay? So, Sarah, 5 interceptions for Juice Man.
I got you too low, bro. Too low. I got him at 6. As you have noted, his average over his career is 5 interceptions per year. I feel like out of all the players coming off PUP and having those big injuries, he seems to be the furthest ahead. And I feel like with the addition of Marcus Williams back there, another year with Chuck Clark, and then you've got Hamilton in there. I feel like Peters can play with can be a little bit more free. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Marcus Williams has my back. Okay, Chuck Clark's got me, or Hamilton's got me. Maybe I can take a few more chances when I'm studying this film. And I think a pass is going to go somewhere and I can jump it. And if I just happen to be wrong, I got some strong members in the secondary who's got my back. So I got him at one above his average. You know, everybody's talking about revenge tours for several players. Marcus Peters likes to keep expectations low, but you know that beast comes out on game day and he's going to want to have a comeback season himself. So I got him down for 6.
I love it. We got a too high and a too low in the same segment. This is great. This is great. So the next one needs some background, Garnet. If you can listen to me closely here, sir, in 2019 and 2020, the Ravens averaged 5.5 yards a rush. So when 2 normal years, 5.5. Last year, that dropped to 4.8. And man, on our show, Garnet, we kept recognizing that it was all quarterback. Like we weren't getting that from our running backs, not even close.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a range here. This year, Garnet, the Ravens will average either 5.1 or 5.2 yards per carry.
Right on, bro. I think, you know, and I'm not going to disrespect the running backs that we had that were older guys, but you know they were good backs. They did their part, very good teammates. But I think with the additions of Kenyon Drake and Mike Davis, those guys can move. Especially Mike Davis is downhill. He's basically just a 5'10" version of Gus in a weird way. Just nothing but quads, man. So I think that it's going to be around that range with these two backs, especially with Kenyon Drake just being an explosive guy in and out of his jump cuts. So I'm right on, bro.
All right, I got you too low, bro. I just feel like running game again is the Ravens' bread and butter, and I think with an improved offensive line, and maybe I'm putting too much stock in Stanley. I swear on my life, if he comes back for one game and is done again, I'm gonna lose it. So I'm just feeling like the Ravens and Stanley learned from whatever happened last year. Wouldn't rush him back, right? They wouldn't do that 2 years in a row, right? They wouldn't do that. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. He may not play week 1. In fact, I highly doubt he does. I could see him week 2 or 3. I think this is going to be the best O-line since 2019, which isn't saying a lot considering 2020. And I'm not saying it's as good as 219, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I think you've got better threats. Dobbins coming back, Gus coming back, these other guys that we've named. I think that will help Lamar more, even when they got the mesh point, everybody knew I don't care about these old guys, I'm coming after Lamar. And then if he happens to give it to one of these guys, we'll go get him, So I think that it would even help Lamar a little bit more to have better threats. So I see it returning more to the mean of 2020 and 2019 at 5.5. And if it's just under at 5.4 or 5.3, I still see it above 5.1 to 5.2. You
still would win in that point. So I should have upped my game just a little bit and tried to get the right on bro from Garnet, but I was off by about a 10th there every yard. Or that's not bad though. That great analysis though. I agree. Just wanted to say I don't feel as confident as the running backs as I did say 2020. Just because of the injuries. But compared to last year, like Garnet said, yes, the Ravens have prepared themselves a lot better, I think, with the veterans that they brought in who still, have some value and some downhill backs, which I really like. So this next question, before anybody gets on me about my number, I got this from the sports books. Okay. So I pulled up the over under win total and I saw a lot of 10.5. I saw a lot of 11.5 wins. So the number I ended up settled on was 11 games. Garnet, too high, too low, or right on, bro? The Ravens will win 11 games.
I've been struggling. I've been changing the numbers all day, literally all week about this. I'm at 10 or 11. I'm just stick with my gut. I'm gonna say 11 wins. I think that's for me, it's right on, bro. Just due to my whole scenario with this is, and Sarah, you somewhat gave me PTSD with the whole Stanley thing, because literally I was there at the Carolina joint practice, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's Stanley." He dressed out for like team drills or whatever, and then changed right back out to street clothes. And then I'm like thinking, all right, well, I know he's not going to play the preseason game, so we should hopefully he'll be good by week one. It's literally the same ordeal that's happening now. What happened last year? So it's like the PTSD is kicking in for me just a little bit. So I don't know, but Stanley is a crucial part to me for us to be over 11 wins, and just the left guard position, a little worried about that just a little bit, just not no one really capitalizing, running with it. So yeah, I got 11 wins, but the way how we would get those 11 wins is just being hot on the back end and really just, as well as you get in the dance, man, I think we'll dominate from there. But I got 11 right on, bro.
I got a right on, bro. Finally, the last question. I got a right on, bro, at 11. Just looking at the schedule, I mean, whatever. You can always see like the tougher games and whatever. You've got the Bengals twice. Bengals blew out the Ravens twice last year. You got Bills. That's no joke. Bucks with Tom Brady. Broncos with Russell Wilson. Those are all tough games. I'm not going to say those 5 games, the Ravens will lose all of them. Let's say they win 1 or 2 of those tough games. Okay. At the same time, you look at the other side of the schedule and it's like you go through and you're like, okay, the Ravens should win all these games, but there's always going to be 1 or 2 of those should win games that they'll lose. So to me, that's going to come out to 11, and they make it to the playoffs. Then from there, anything can happen.
Okay, so I'm going to too low, bro, myself. I think 11's too low, bro. I'm going to put us at a 12-5. I feel like I have to state the case anyway, but I would truly believe that. I mean, I would take the, if somebody asked me, would you take the over on the Ravens? I would. And that's because of the O-line. Stanley, the situation with Ronnie, I mean, you go back and look at that injury, it was brutal. And then the fact that, he couldn't even practice through it last year after one game, it was shut it down. And you can think what you want about the individual, their situation, or, I know he's taken some backlash and fans question him. Let's just remove all the emotion out of it and just say, look, he hasn't played football in 2 calendar years. Who knows what he's going to be when he gets back? That makes me nervous. But I feel like after what the Ravens dealt with last year, and by shoring up other spots in the line, that the offensive line is going to be better than it was last year. And I just really believe in Lamar. I really believe in Bateman. I really believe in the pass rush. I'm really happy we have a free safety. Like, I look around the entire team, and I just feel really good about the roster. I mean, there's a couple of spots I think that could be improved. You never have a perfect roster. But overall, I look at it, Sarah, I don't even go by like, okay, this game could be a loss. The Bucks on a Thursday night in Tampa Bay, that don't sound good. I just look at the overall team, and I'd be like, look, if it was a 16-game season, I'd say 11-5. I'm going to go ahead and give them the 12-5, the benefit of the doubt here. So last question. Now, Garnet mentioned getting hot at the end. So our final segment, man, is just a closing thought. And feel free to expand on this one. Maybe we'll go around a couple of times, doing good on time. But Garnet, what do the Ravens have to do to reach the Super Bowl? You can take this in a couple of different angles, sir.
All right, so my biggest thing for us to get where we need to be is the final dance of last dances, right? Really, when I was just elaborating on getting high at the right time was where I want to see us be able to just dominate. Obviously, dominating the trenches on both sides of the ball, but just that killer instinct. I had to, talk with a group of people about this and just the philosophy and just the mentality of how you should, play physical and all those things. But like, we have too many great things on this defense. Like from literally from the trenches all the way to the back end. And it's like this defense should, in my opinion, we should have did it too high, too low for this defense. For this, what I'm about to say, this defense should rival the early 2000 Ravens defense in a way.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you really think about, there's no excuses for these guys not to be great. It really, if you really want to be honest. Like this, we got the secondary. We got three All-Pro corners with Kyle Fuller, correct? He was an All-Pro back in the day for men, so he's a savvy veteran. MP Juice Man, you got Marlon, right? Then you got a potential All-Pro safety over there with Marcus Williams, and then obviously you got a nice rotation between Kyle Hamilton and Chuck Clark. Clark is probably using the sub packages. We always talk about the nickel and the dime packages or whatever. And then, I think the linebackers are finally going to be unlocked like they were in their rookie year, which was chaotic for them in the first place with the whole COVID year. But they got back with Zach Gore, and they got their favorite, and also with Mike McDonald, what they had a lot of success under. And obviously, like I said, the trenches, no need to speak for them, but it's pretty damn good. Excuse me. Am I allowed to say the D word?
I think so, sir. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
tough stipulations here on YouTube, but we'll let that one fly.
all right. Thank you. But just the moral of the story is like this. All they have to do is just unlock that mentality of the early 2000 Rams where, hey, if we give up more than 10 points against the Jets, we all got a problem. Like that's how I somewhat view it. Like they should have that mentality of every week to kick butt like that. That's just me. I'm holding them to a high standard of how we view it as a whole.
You are, Garnet. Now you surprised me with this one. I'm gonna badger you about this on our Wednesday live show. Catch us Wednesday live, 8:30. Garnet, Ashley, and I. If you'd like to donate, the things are down there, the Venmo and the Cash App. You guys always ask how you can help the program. Feel free to do that. See, we don't have Ashley this week, Garnet. That was the first time I slipped one of those in, bro.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, I tried. Oh, turn on your notifications so you never miss a video. She says she got the whole thing down. Miss Ashley. Ashley will be back with us, though. So be safe, Ashley. We'll see you soon. So, Sarah, Garnet doesn't just say things to say things. He's not one of these guys that just likes to over embellish to make himself sound good. Garnet is like, we're going to get to the Super Bowl. This defense is going to rival the 2000 defense. Not an angle I thought he would take. So, Sarah, what do the Ravens have to do to get where they want to go this year?
Yeah, so I have 4 keys. The first one shouldn't even have to be said, but after last year, I feel like I got to do it. Number 1, stay healthy. Number 2, which I have a lot of confidence in, Lamar be Lamar. But I do agree with what you said at the top of the show. In those big games, don't press too much early in the game. Let the game come to you. There's a lot of things that I love about Lamar over Joe Flacco. But if there's one thing Lamar could learn from Joe Flacco, it's about staying cool, early in that game and then let it come to you, but got a lot of confidence. Lamar could be Lamar in the playoffs and beyond. Number 3 is more the defensive angle. I just need the turnovers at key times. It's like have that killer instinct at key times because there's so many times where the Ravens defense has been phenomenal through 3.5 quarters. And then all of a sudden that 4th quarter comes and they blow the lead. It kills me. It kills me how many times that happens. So give me that killer instinct in key times. Get turnovers. Peters and Williams and Marlowe, go knock a ball out. Odafe, go make a play. Houston, go get some pressure on. Travis Jones, show no mercy. You know what I mean? So show that killer instinct in those key moments. And the last one, I hate it when people try to take all the Ravens playoff games and dumb it down and say, here's why they lose. And they always put on the national people always put on Lamar or whatever. So at the risk of doing something that I hate, which is oversimplifying it. If I was forced to oversimplify and say what has been the problem in the Ravens playoff games, to me, it's been offensive line play. Even in that 2019 season when it was a phenomenal offensive line, they played like poop, okay? They did not play well. And then 2020, 2021, they didn't even have a very good offensive line, but 2020 again, to me, this is the key. If the offensive line can peak in the postseason and play at their best, I know Lamar is going to be Lamar. I know the running game is going to be there. If the running game is going to be there, I know the passing game is going to be open. So please just protect your MVP caliber quarterback. Everything else will fall into place. Play your best offensive line. When the offensive line was at its best, Lamar's MVP. When it's at its worst, Lamar has 13 interceptions, a career worst. Give me an offensive line that will play their best in the postseason, and the Ravens can reach the Super Bowl.
Man, Yeah, amen. There's some great points by both of you in that. I mean, I love it. It's like I don't even want to repeat so much of it because it's true. Like the offensive line, I agree with Sarah. It's been the main bugaboo. I mean, even all the way back in the Chargers, the first game when Bosa and Ingram were all over us. It was like, man, I didn't have high expectations that year because it was our, Lamar's, seventh career game or whatever it was. But it was just sad to see. Titans, same thing. So yes, O line definitely. And I want to. The only other thing I want to add is, the defense. Obviously, I feel like the defense has got to win you a big game somewhere along that line. You know what I mean? Who wins the game for you is also always subjective. But I'm talking about coming up with a big stop. Maybe the offense is struggling. Maybe we turn the ball over. Maybe the officials, blow a big call. So your defense has got to be able to bail you out. And then the third thing, I want to see our coaches win us a game. I want to see people say, man, what a great call by G-Row. What a great call by Mike McDonald to keep this going or to switch it up when it wasn't working. So, I think it's just the little things with Lamar. If you have Lamar and a good offensive line, you got a chance to win every game. So I don't buy this like limited upside and playoff. They can't go far in the playoffs. It's baloney. You win 12, 13 games in a regular season, you're a Super Bowl contender. So look, when the coaching needs to step up with the coaching. When the defense needs to make a stop, make a stop. Offensive line, give your guy time and let him work his magic because nobody's open. Lamar can still take off. I mean, he is at his physical peak right now. Maybe not his mental peak. That usually comes in the quarterback's 30s or whatever. The longer they play, the smarter they get. But Lamar at his physical peak, I believe, a really good mix of mental and, man, sky is the limit. So I wanted to thank you guys for coming on and doing this. Sarah, when can we catch the Vault, the Ravens Vault? Give me the name, give me the times and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the Vault is a daily podcast. So we do every single morning, we do a morning vault, or at least Monday through Friday, I should say. We do a morning vault, which sums up the Ravens news in 15 minutes. So that's what we do every single morning. And then in addition to that, and that goes up between 5 and 6 a.m. every morning. In fact, after we're done recording here, I'll go record that. Bobby's waiting for me. And then we also have sprinkle in interviews. We've recently just had on Evan Washburn. We had on Pepe Williams. Lots of recent interviews you can go listen to. And then obviously we do analysis and instant reaction and post-game analysis. So a lot of that, but pretty much a daily podcast. And, every morning that first one goes up between 5 and 6 a.m.
There you go. So busy Sarah, making time, keeping Bobby waiting. Tell Bobby I apologize. My bad. But yeah, Sarah took a couple minutes to get on the mic. Don't forget to throw that in there a little bit. Technical difficulties at the beginning, but no.
It's true. That's true.
You have some great guests, Sarah, but my guests are better because Sarah Ellis is one of them. So, man, So Garnet, we're going to keep it short. I will see you again in another day or so. Edit this overnight. Catch us Wednesday nights at 8:30 live. Maybe Sarah can stop in one of these days and spice up the chat and bring all the boys to the yard, as the song said. Bring your boys to the yard, Sarah. Bring your boys to the yard. Live show.
Sounds good.
So with that, I would like to say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Garnet, Sarah, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Appreciate you. Thank you.